Every single morning you are losing more hair than you did 2 years ago, and nobody around you can explain why. Your shampoo is the same. Your diet has not changed much. But something in 2026 is silently destroying your follicles. Today, we expose exactly what that is. Let us talk about something that dermatologists are finally beginning to acknowledge openly. Hair loss rates across the world have increased by nearly 28% since 2022, according to trichology research published in early 2025. That is not a small jump. That is a generational shift in follicle health happening in real time. And the reasons are not the ones you have been told to worry about. Genetics is only responsible for about 30 to 40% of cases. That means the majority of people losing hair right now, including people in their mid-20s, are losing it because of factors that are entirely modern, entirely reversible, and almost entirely ignored by mainstream medicine. By the time this video is over, you will understand your own hair loss at a biological level most people never reach. You will also know what your first 3 action steps should be. Tonight. Here is something that will completely change how you look at your scalp. Your scalp is not just skin. It is one of the most metabolically active surfaces on your entire body. And right now, in 2026, a massive percentage of people are walking around with a condition called chronic subclinical scalp inflammation, meaning the inflammation is real, it is active, and it is destroying follicles, but it does not itch enough for you to notice. You do not feel it, but your hair knows. Chronic microinflammation works by triggering a process where the hair follicle miniaturizes over time. The follicle does not die immediately. It shrinks over months, over years, until the hair it produces becomes so thin and fine that it eventually stops producing a visible strand entirely. What causes this inflammation? Air quality has declined significantly in urban environments. Particulate matter PM 2.5 has increased 18% in major Indian cities alone since 2021. These microscopic particles land on your scalp, penetrate the sebum barrier, and trigger an immune response around the follicle. Your body attacks its own hair-producing tissue. This is the starting point of hair loss that most people never connect to their environment. In 2026, the average person applies between 9 and 15 personal care products to their body before they even leave the house. Shampoo, conditioner, face wash, moisturizer, sunscreen, deodorant, styling products. And inside most of these products, especially the budget and mid-range ones, there are compounds called endocrine disruptors. The most dangerous ones for hair are parabens, phthalates, and synthetic fragrances that contain hidden chemical compounds. Here is how this damages your hair specifically. These chemicals mimic or block hormones in your body, primarily estrogen and testosterone signaling. When testosterone metabolism is disrupted by these compounds, it can accelerate the conversion of testosterone into DHT, dihydrotestosterone, which is the primary hormone responsible for follicle miniaturization in both men and women. DHT shrinks the follicle. Shorter growth cycles, thinner strands, then no strand at all. The terrifying part is that a study from the Environmental Working Group found that 75% of commercially available hair and scalp products contain at least one known endocrine-disrupting chemical. You could be applying the reason for your hair loss directly to your scalp twice a day. Every single day. If you have been using the same shampoo for 5 or more years and your hair loss has worsened progressively, this is the first variable you need to investigate. Here is a number that should genuinely alarm you. In a 2024 nutritional survey across urban populations in India, Southeast Asia, and parts of Europe, over 63% of adults were found to be deficient in at least 3 micronutrients critical to hair growth. Not marginally low, clinically deficient. The 4 nutrients most directly linked to accelerated hair loss in 2026 are ferritin, which is stored iron, vitamin D3, zinc, and biotin. But here is the part that is completely misunderstood. It is not just about eating enough. The ultra-processed food patterns that dominate 2026 diets are specifically designed in ways that reduce nutrient absorption. High sugar intake depletes zinc rapidly. Refined grains block iron absorption. Constant snacking on processed foods creates insulin spikes that increase cortisol, and cortisol, as you will see in a moment, is a direct enemy of your hair follicles. Your hair follicle is one of the fastest dividing cell structures in the human body. It needs a constant, dense supply of micronutrients to keep that division happening. When that supply drops even slightly below threshold, your body's priority system kicks in, and hair growth is deprioritized immediately in favor of organ function. Your body is choosing between keeping your kidneys running and keeping your hairline intact. Your kidneys will always win. Always. This one is the reason 2026 is uniquely different from any previous year in hair loss history. If you experienced any viral infection in the last 2 years, whether that was COVID-19, influenza, or even a severe respiratory illness, your hair follicles may still be dealing with the consequences right now in 2026. Here is the mechanism. Viral infections of significant severity trigger a massive immune response in the body. Part of that response involves a cytokine storm, a flood of inflammatory signaling molecules. These cytokines disrupt the normal hair growth cycle by pushing follicles prematurely from the anagen phase, which is active growth, into the telogen phase, which is resting and shedding. This condition is called telogen effluvium, and it typically becomes visible 2 to 4 months after the triggering event. That is why people who were sick in 2023 or 2024 are still noticing excessive shedding today. But there is a second, more concerning dimension to post-viral hair loss in 2026. Research from Johns Hopkins, published in late 2024, identified that post-viral inflammation can cause what scientists are now calling follicle memory disruption, where the regrowth cycle after a viral event does not fully restore to pre-infection baseline, meaning some follicles that were pushed into the resting phase never fully reactivate without targeted intervention. This is new science, and it explains why so many people feel like their hair has simply never recovered. Let us talk about cortisol, because in 2026, your cortisol levels are almost certainly higher than your parents were at your age, and the data proves it. A 2025 Global Health Metrics report found that salivary cortisol levels in adults aged 20 to 45 have increased by an average of 34% compared to the same demographic measured in 2010. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. In short bursts, it is healthy and necessary. But in the chronic, low-grade, never fully switching off pattern that defines modern work culture, screen addiction, sleep disruption from devices, financial pressure, and social comparison, cortisol becomes one of the most powerful suppressors of hair growth that exists in the human body. Here is the exact biological mechanism. Chronically elevated cortisol activates receptors in the dermal papilla cells. These are the cells at the base of your follicle that signal when a new strand should begin growing. When cortisol binds to these receptors persistently, it suppresses the production of a compound called substance P, which is a critical growth activator for hair follicles. No substance P signal means the follicle stays dormant far longer than it should. Your growth cycles get shorter. Your resting cycles get longer. And over 12 to 18 months of this pattern, the density loss becomes visually significant. You start noticing it in photos. You start counting strands in the shower drain. The tragedy is that most people respond to this by adding more stress, by panicking about their hair loss, which elevates cortisol further, which makes the loss worse. This is the loop, and most people never realize they are in it. Now that you understand the real biology, let us be concrete. Step 1. Get a blood panel this week. Not next month. This week. Ask specifically for serum ferritin, vitamin D, zinc, TSH, that is your thyroid, and a full hormonal panel. These are the 5 tests that will tell you exactly which deficiency is driving your shedding. Do not guess. Measure. Step 2. Audit your shampoo and scalp products tonight. Go to the EWG Skin Deep database online and search every product you put on your scalp. Remove anything rated above a 4 on their hazard scale, especially any product containing sodium lauryl sulfate combined with synthetic fragrances. Step 3. Build a cortisol boundary this week. That means choosing 1 hour per day, ideally in the evening, where there are 0 screens, 0 notifications, and your nervous system is allowed to down-regulate. This is not optional lifestyle advice. This is follicle survival protocol. If you do nothing else from this video, do those 3 steps. The real truth about hair loss in 2026 is this: it is not fate. It is not purely genetics. It is a measurable biological response to a measurable set of modern inputs. And that means it is also changeable. Your follicles are not dead. Most of them are dormant, inflamed, or undernourished, and every single one of those conditions has a solution. What your hair needs in 2026 is not another shampoo. It needs you to understand what is actually happening inside your scalp. Now you do. If this video gave you one piece of clarity, share it with someone who is currently dealing with hair loss and has no idea where to start. It could genuinely change their outcome. Subscribe, because the next video is going to go even deeper into the exact protocols that are reversing these patterns in 2026.